Good afternoon. Welcome to Inside Indiana Sports Now with Kent Sterling. It's Friday, December 18th, 2020. We're brought to you by, as always, the great people at Today's Dentistry, and that means Dr. Mike O'Neill. He's the best dentist I've ever gone to, the only dentist I've gone to the last 27 years. Make him your only dentist. 317-849-2933. Let's talk about the Crossroads Classic. That's coming up tomorrow morning at 11:30. Game one between the Hoosiers and the Butler Bulldogs. That'll be on Fox Sports 1. I can't wait to see this game. It's going to be interesting to see how Butler progresses as a unit. We saw them play Villanova the other night, a disappointing result. We'll see how they continue to come together. A lot of guys gone for Butler. Kamar Baldwin, Sean McDermott, both gone. You got a lot of guys who were there and are not now. So this team's going to take a while to kind of form and become who it's going to be. Indiana, a little bit different. They lost Devontae Green and they lost Deron Davis. Other than that, they're back virtually intact. I know Justin Smith's gone, but I don't consider his loss to be a big one. So we got that game. Let's talk to the head coach of the Butler Bulldogs right now, LaVall Jordan. LaVall, I want to know how difficult it is in this time of COVID to prepare, not really knowing from day to day who's going to be available for you and who's going to be available for your opponent.
It's a unique, certainly unique, Kent. I think even for us in general, right? We got a fairly good amount of new faces, and so getting those guys out on the same team together where we're not practicing and figuring out lineups and rotations and things that we need more information on. Obviously, you need games to be able to do that, and you want to be pretty consistent in who's available. Injuries are always a part of it, right? You have to be cognizant of that, and everybody has to be ready. So it's been a next man up mindset, but you are trying to get into a rhythm and a chemistry with the group being on the same team. I think practices have been competitive. Guys have really challenged each other when we've been able to practice, but you are trying to get that that chemistry built together. And then personnel-wise for the other team, right, it's the same deal as kind of an injury. The guy's not available or available, as you start the game plan for any opponent.
What do you think of Indiana?
I think they're really good. I just obviously, you can tell that they've got some experience. I think that really stands out. Just guys that have been in their system and in their program. I think Archie's done a really good job defensively. Right now, they're really in tune with one another. They've got mobile bigs. They've got guards that are quick and strong on the perimeter to be able to defend. So they really stand out on that end of the floor right now.
How do they like to defend?
I just think they do a really good job of keeping it. It sounds simple, keeping the ball in front of them. They've got good size across the board with their guards. And they've, like I said, you can tell they've been in college for a few years with their body development, but they do a really good job of keeping the ball in front and not requiring, much help from teammates. And I think their team is in position when they need it, but those guys do a really good job of guarding the basketball.
How about the evolution of Trace Jackson Davis into his sophomore year? What do you think of Trace Jackson Davis?
He's improved, but his mobility is, I think is off the charts. Just being able to move and defend on one end of the court, switch and defend and move and defend and hedge and recover. He can really move, and so you see that on defense, and same thing on offense. I think he does a good job getting position, but him, catching in the high post and driving is a tough match, and so he's got great mobility for his size.
How many bodies are you going to have available against Indiana?
I believe we'll have 9. Is that correct? Okay. Yeah, and Aaron would be 10.
Can you update us on Bo Hodges, Aaron Thompson? Want to know about him. Is he going to be able to go tomorrow? And then also Bryce Golden. He wasn't able to go against Villanova, but he is going to be up tomorrow against Indiana, right?
Yeah, Bo, in terms of what I'm allowed to say, I can't say a ton. But obviously, the plan was for Bo to sit this year and play next year. With all the things that developed in the course of 2020, to have a bonus year would have been great for him to be able to get out there That's not going to happen, unfortunately, and so we'll go as expected. At in his situation, did not practice, yesterday or today, but he's getting treatment and rehab and being evaluated. Yeah, and so we'll see in terms of the game. And then Bryce Golden was in a return to play progression. So coming out of quarantine, isolate, you can't go. You're not medically obviously allowed to go 0 to 100. When you've had 17 days of nothing, no activity, and so just obviously precautionary measures to progress him back into full participation. As deemed by our medical staff.
Are you reluctant to play Thompson tomorrow despite him not having practiced for a long, long time?
I believe Aaron's gonna probably always say he can go, so we're gonna leave that to the medical team. Really, David. I don't know if I'm okay with playing guys after 17 days off, but if medically it's safe, that's I think this year in general is always safety first and health first, and so between corona and obviously normal athletic injury. So we'll make that determination, and Aaron won't get to decide. It'll come from the people that are experts in that area.
Is there anything you need to do differently schematically or behaviorally in order to accommodate for an environment without any fans, almost complete silence?
Benches are really important. You can't, I didn't think we talked about it even with fans, right? But just the energy in the building. If you're a competitor, it's like I tell our guys, hey, you're trying to play at the park and run the park all day, winners stay. And so, I guess Joe Cornette would say, like, who needs fans? If it's us and them, and it's 5-on-5, it's Butler versus whoever, and it doesn't matter really where we play. So I think the bench energy is important. You just want to know that you want to hear your teammates, and you need to root for your teammates and be a great teammate when you're not out there on the court.
Thanks, LaVall. Appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time. That's LaVall Jordan, the head coach of the Butler Bulldogs. Butler going to take on Indiana in Game 1 of the Crossroads Classic tomorrow. Purdue, Notre Dame in Game 2. This is one of my favorite events of the year because it's a celebration of basketball. They quarter off Bankers Life Fieldhouse. They have, on a normal year, obviously this is not going to happen tomorrow. You've got Indiana, Purdue, Butler, and Notre Dame. All their fans occupying 25% of the field house. Everybody gets along. Nobody gets ill-tempered or cantankerous with each other. They applaud this celebration of basketball, and really it's just a great atmosphere. It's a shame it's not going to be what we would typically find during this great sports weekend in Indianapolis. I mean, my God, Pacers, 76ers tonight, the Crossroads Classic tomorrow, the Big Ten Championship tomorrow at noon between Ohio State and Northwestern. Then you've got on Sunday, you got the Colts and the Texans going at it at Lucas Oil Stadium. There is so much to do, and nobody gets to watch any of it except for the 10,000 people who get to come down to Lucas Oil Stadium and watch the Colts take on the Texans. I think there might be some fans at the Big Ten Championship too, but I can't find tickets anywhere. Anyway, a great sports weekend, and it's a shame we are robbed of witnessing it in person because of COVID. Speaking of Notre Dame, one thing I absolutely love, and love it. It's a shame that it's had to come to this, but I love it anyway. And that's Brian Kelly, the football coach at Notre Dame, saying, hey, we may not go. If we have to play in the Rose Bowl in front of no fans, not even families, with the ability to attend the game, we can't play in front of anybody in California because of their COVID-related shutdown. We may choose not to go. I love that. Number one, it puts the onus on the college football playoff committee, the selection committee, to decide who they're going to kind of delegate to go represent them out in the Rose Bowl in front of nobody. It sounds like Notre Dame may not go if it's them. Clemson is kind of on board with Notre Dame. I would assume we're going to hear the same thing from Nick Saban and from Ryan Day, the head coaches of Alabama and Ohio State. Who the hell wants to play in front of nobody? Why would you schlep your team all the way across the country to California to play in an empty stadium when you could stay closer to home and play in front of fans? How in the world does that make sense? What is this, like a TV studio? Is that what this is? Brian Kelly expressed a very measured and reasonable theory about this entire thing. And the fix, according to Dabo Swinney, very, very simple. You just move the game, right? The other game is going to be played in the Superdome, the other semifinal. And right now, the Saints are allowing 3,000 fans in the Superdome. So that would accommodate friends, family, that kind of a crowd. And for God's sake, I mean, can we be reasonable human beings with the Rose Bowl? The Rose Bowl is huge. It's cavernous. You put 3,000 people in the Rose Bowl, it's going to look like 20 people are in the place. Reason has to somehow insert itself into this equation. Brian Kelly trying to make that happen. His Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Dabo Swinney's Clemson Tigers, they're going to play this weekend. You've got Bama playing Florida. You got a lot of great football this weekend. Unfortunately, no bucket game. And we know what the college football playoff is going to look like. It's going to be the 4 top teams as they stand right now. Ohio State's going to rout Northwestern. Alabama is going to rout Florida. And it doesn't really matter what happens between Clemson and Notre Dame, because Clemson, even a 2-loss Clemson team, is going to be seen as a better team than Texas A&M or than Ohio or Iowa State, certainly, than Oklahoma, certainly. It's going to be those 4 teams no matter what happens. And rightly so, because they make the best TV show. That's the way it is. What I hope happens is that the College Football Playoff Selection Committee sees the light, sees reason, adjusts the venue, and brings that other semifinal from the Rose Bowl to a place where people can watch it, because if not, why not, right? And then the other, that's fine. 3,000 fans going to the Superdome to watch a Cotton Bowl. That's cool too. I'm all good with that. But for God's sake, you cannot send teams to a stadium that is going to be empty. What it would wind up being, it's like playing in a park that is surrounded by concrete. That's what the Rose Bowl would become in the case of, let's say, Notre Dame and Alabama playing in that semifinal. It would be ludicrous. It would be pointless. And please move on to a plan B, or at least decide that there needs to be a plan B, because there needs to be a plan B. Can't wait for all this sports this weekend. I think the Colts are going to win. I think Notre Dame is going to cover. I don't know whether they're going to win. I think Ohio State's going to win and cover. I think Indiana beats Butler tomorrow. Sorry, LaVall. And I think Purdue loses to Notre Dame in the Crossroads Classic. I'm just sad that people aren't going to be there to witness it. Can't wait to talk about all this Monday morning. Breakfast with Kent, bright and early, 8 o'clock on Facebook Live, 8:15 on Periscope and Twitter. We will talk to you then. All brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry.